Well, hello everybody. Welcome to Adam's Polisher's Wednesday live video. I was just thinking about it. I think we've been doing this for over 4 years, or right around 4 years.
Yeah, we started in 2020, I think.
Yeah, so we had a couple, I think a year on Facebook, then we transitioned to YouTube. But um, yeah, so today I wanted to talk about machine polisher maintenance, as well as a little bit of pad cleaning. And to be honest with you, this is something I like to do during this time because, um, my frequency of detailing kind of goes down once the weather and the cold starts to hit. Granted, I will do some stuff inside, but washing and all that stuff kind of outside has now been transitioned to the pay and spray. So not necessarily a lot of polishing happening, few jobs here and there, but after a long summer, spring, summer, and fall of detailing and polishing, ceramic coating, my machines they're just workhorses, so they they get dirty, and part of I think part of detailing is keeping your stuff nice so you can continue to use it. And I think the other thing to think about is a lot of the customers and people buying our product don't have access to the thousands of pads that get shipped into Adam's Polisher. You can't just grab new pads all the time, So you're gonna have sort of an assortment of pads that are gonna get dirty, and I think after you do a polishing job, you should sit down and clean them so they're ready for the next time. But if you have some laying around, this is like a great time to work on that kind of stuff.
Instagram stories are down,
Okay.
so you might just want to let everyone know to tell their friends, maybe.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. We
I can't get it to upload.
That's all right. Usually we'll post like a notification on Instagram on the story, but it's not working right now. So, oh, meta. But no, I don't. It's not that big of a deal. But yeah, if you guys, any of your friends are on here, or you want to get people to watch, just throw them a text, and we're going to talk about this stuff today. So, I have a couple different polishers here. These are not like the ones that I use by any means, but I just wanted to show you. I had one that I took the backing plate off, and you can see, inside here it gets really dirty, but especially getting into here, it gets extremely dirty. Okay, there's probably fragments of the pad, like the wool and the microfiber, but a lot of like dried compound, maybe some dust and dirt. And when it builds up in here, it's going to start affecting it down at the source of where the orbit comes from. But I'm going to show you, like, I just want you to see this first. The other thing too, I have two 15 millimeter, I have three, but the two we're going to be working on, like one, the backing plate is extremely dirty. But the vents that push the air out to cool the machine down on this one's not as dirty as this one. So we're going to talk about how we do that. And then I'll have to grab the cord. I think it's down there. But we have like a few different things that you can use to do this maintenance. And then we'll talk about some of the pad cleaning, because the machine maintenance isn't all that crazy. It's not too bad. But remember too, during the live, this is kind of inside access. So if you have questions, it doesn't have to be related to this, but more anything detailing, anything Adam's Polishes. If you want to ask me personal questions, what's my favorite sports teams? What am I doing this weekend? You can ask me anything you want. But that's what the purpose of this live is. It's almost like we do like in-person detailing clinics. There'll be like 100 plus people here. And, people will raise their hand, ask a question, but there'll be somebody that might be scared to ask that question or didn't know that that was a question that they had. And because one person asked it and got an answer, it helped, half of the people there. So there are no bad questions. If anything, any question is a great question, because it helps everybody that's on this live. So don't be scared to ask questions. We'll ask them as fast as we can. And there's a little bit of a delay between us and you, so if it doesn't feel like we're asking, your comment will pop up eventually, and then we'll get to it. But so to start out cleaning these, I do want to show you, in your polisher kits, you should get a Allen key, Allen wrench, and then a regular wrench. I don't know if we'll need this regular wrench as much, but the Allen key is the thing you use to take off the backing plate. I also grabbed replacement backing plates. So we sell these on our website, some accessories. You got the 12 millimeter, 15 millimeter, and we also have the 15 millimeter backing plate for the first gen polisher, like the black polisher. We also have them for the 21 millimeter polisher. And I'll be honest with you, like for a long time, I actually gave it to a friend because he was trying to start a detailing business. But I had a first gen 15 millimeter polisher, swirl killer, and it was a 21 millimeter polisher. And what I ended up doing was I took off the 21 millimeter backing plate, which is like the 7-inch backing plate, and I replaced it with the 15 millimeter backing plate. So I still got the 21 millimeters of throw, so a lot longer of a throw, but I had the 5.5 or the 5-inch backing plate to it, and it made it a very effective machine. I actually prefer that, and I just haven't done it as of recent, but I want to get that set up again because the longer the throw, like the more movement it has, and it corrects a little bit better. And I don't have to run it at such a high speed because it's moving so much. It's kind of like if you know, like Mr. Miyagi, it's like if you're doing long, fast swipes, you can get more work done versus small, little swipes. So I really, really like that setup. Just something to consider. I have our cleaning towels, which comes in this nice plastic tub. These I absolutely love. I actually have 2 of these in my garage. I use them, to be honest with you, I use them probably more for cleaning my shoes than anything. I have some waterless wash. I have some Talon pad revitalizer, a pad conditioning brush. I have some swabs, and then I have one of our clear buckets, and that has warm water inside of it. We're going to use this for the pad cleaning portion. And you know, you can use really like you can use a standard 5-gallon bucket. I do recommend taking out the grate or the grit guard and just setting it aside because what I'll do is I can use this tray to set pads on, but I'll also use this. And I like setting my pads after I wring them out onto a grit guard or a grate because it has airflow from the bottom and the top, or all directions. So it helps air dry them a little bit more quick. And even oftentimes, if I have a ton of pads, what I'll do is I'll grab, a couple grit guards and set them out, like on my workbench to let that, by the time I'm cleaning this, like in an afternoon, like today, I mean, it's just past 1 o'clock here. By the time I come back in the morning, they'll be perfectly dry and I could start my polishing process again. I also have a mini air cannon. So having some forced air that I can push into these vents and try to blow out any dead compound. And maybe if you don't have one of those, like we have an air compressor, like you can use that too. Like the more focused, the better, I would say.
Anton says, Joe just mentioned my secret 21 millimeter with a 5-inch backing plate.
Yeah, yeah. Anton knows. Anton has the 21 millimeter with the 5-inch backing plate. Actually, detailer we used to work with a lot. He used to run all of the detailing employees at our shows. His name's Kerwin Miyashiro. He has a detailing business in Colorado Springs, but he's all over the nation. A lot of times he's in Hawaii too, but he's the one who taught me that. He's amazing. I watched him do some masterful work. I totally respect his detailing ability. I mean, he's a lifelong detailer, so he has the experience to be able to manage that stuff. So just to start out with, I'm going to set this aside. So to start out with, we have a dirty backing plate, more dirty vents here. But what you want to do is, if you can, kind of loosen this up a little bit, and I'll even take the air cannon. I'll try to blow that out as much as I can. I'm trying to really loosen this, kind kind of hex slot here. Take your Allen key. This is pretty straightforward. I mean, crank this off. There we go. Once you get like a little bit loose, this machine has not been cleaned in a long time. I can just feel it. Oftentimes, once you break the screw, it's a lot easier, but this one's a little bit more tough to get off there. So take the screw off. And then there's also going to be a washer in there. So you want to try to get the wash. This is the washer right here. So now, all-purpose cleaner is a great product. I'd also say that Eco all-purpose cleaner is also a good product, Time rubber cleaner. But I personally like waterless wash because a lot of the residue on here is not. It's not like oil. You know, it's. I don't need a degreaser necessarily. I need something to break down the compound. So what I usually will do is I can spray this bolt down, set it aside, spray down the washer, and then also spray the backing plate. And this is what I would do if I'm not, like, especially on the backing plate, if I'm not going to replace the backing plate. I'll probably replace the backing plate on this one. But now you have access to this. One thing I do absolutely want to say, if you notice, I don't have the cords attached at all. I don't even want to play with the idea that it gets plugged in and you accidentally turn this on and this goes. So make sure there's no power source to your polisher whatsoever. Now, what I like to do is first, I like to blow the machine out. So I'm going to blow it into the vents. I'll blow it into the reservoir, where the backing plate goes. But I just take my mini air cannon. Just the best I can. Now, the reason why I like to do that might not look like I'm doing a lot of work, but if I can get anything out of there, I want as much airflow coming out of my polisher as possible. It's going to reduce the heat while you're using it. And oftentimes some of the heat's coming from down here and out through the backing plate into the pad. And if it's just bottling up heat in here and pushing it out through here, it can ruin your pads. So that's very important to do. Now, go ahead.
Rodney says, is it snowing there today?
It's not snowing here today, but on Monday night it snowed real hard. But I think, let me see, what's the temperature today? I'll show you guys. There it is. That's 49 is the high. It's 48 right now. The last 2 days it's been in the 20s and 30s. It looks like we're going to get 49 today, 46, 43, 50, 48, 45, 39, 44, and 51. Listen, as long as it's snowing in the mountains to go skiing and snowboarding, that's all that matters. I don't care if it snows here.
Ken Wilson says, after how many hours of use should you do this process?
You know, I think it just depends. I think for me, I couldn't tell you on like the hours. I don't really like think about it in hours. But I would say that, you know, I tend to do this like twice a year. I do it once in the middle of summer when I'm like doing a lot of work, a lot of polishing, a lot of detailing, and then I'll do it once in winter. So it's kind of like every 6 months. My winter time of doing this, I tend to spend more time because I have more time. I don't have cars in that need to be paint corrected. Whereas in the summer, I'm like constantly doing it. And so, so that's, yeah, my winter maintenance is a little bit more in depth, I would say. You know, I'd say during the summer, I'm more just like blowing the machines out, spraying them down thoroughly with waterless wash, and then like wiping them down. But this is a little bit more in depth, I would say. So I'm just getting these towels situated because I grabbed a new one. Go like this. So these towels are like pre-soaked, and they're a little bit abrasive. So they have this like texture to them. I'll just grab two like that. Close this. Make sure you close the top. If you don't, they dry out. So I'll set one aside. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take this, and I'm just gonna right now like wipe the whole machine down. Just give it a nice wipe like that, and then I'll even start doing it on the outside as well. This machine is dirty, very dirty. I also think this might be my own opinion. This is something I think Adam and I both are aligned on. But like, if you're a professional detailer and you're mobile, or people are bringing their stuff to you and they see your shop, having like a super clean shop and like your tools are clean, like showing the care that you put into it, I think goes a long way for your clients. Like, I think when they see that, it's like kind of going to a dealership. If a dealership's grungy, they're like, I don't know if I trust this place. Same concept when it comes to like detailing. Like, if your stuff is well put together, it's clean, it looks nice, I think people respect that and are would be like even a little bit more willing to not necessarily willing, but I think they're more apt to like come back if they see how much you care for it. So I just grabbed an edgeless utility towel, and I'm just gonna wipe the machine down really quick.
Mohammed says, is the Adams clay mitt chemical resistant? Like, can it be used with iron remover?
Oh, that's a good question. Who'd you say asked that? Mohammed. So, yeah, that's a good question. Mohammed said, is the clay mitt chemical resistant? Meaning, like, can you use it with iron remover? The answer is yes. And actually, we did a video, I think we released it more in the springtime, but it was like how to fully decontaminate a vehicle with like both doing like iron decontamination, but also removing bonding contamination, which is what you'd use the clay bar for. And in that video, I kind of double dipped. Like I had washed the car. Instead of rinsing the whole thing to avoid getting water spots, I rinsed sections. So I rinsed off the back of the car, which has the most iron contamination, most bonding contamination. And the one thing I would recommend is, like, when you're using iron remover, I think a lot of people will rinse a car off and then they just start spraying iron remover on. It ends up being diluted by the water that is sitting on the car from your rinse. If you want the most effectiveness out of your iron remover, taking like a drying towel, it doesn't have to be fully dry, but just getting the excess water off really makes it so the iron remover works at its full potential. So in that video, I had a great white drying towel, which isn't necessarily like the best drying towel to get water off. Doesn't like fully dry in one swipe. I more use the great white drying towel for drying like off-road vehicles, really dirty vehicles, because it has a waffle weave pattern. It's almost like a waterless wash towel, but bigger. But anyways, use that just to wipe some of the water off. Sprayed iron remover on, you'll see it starts to work immediately, but oftentimes iron contamination is both stuck on the top, but also embedded into the clear coat or ceramic coating, doesn't matter. But along with the iron contamination that's sitting on top, there's also bonding contamination, like tree sap or paint overspray or road tar. And so really, iron remover as a formula is designed to eliminate the iron contamination that's embedded, not necessarily sitting on top, because a clay mitt or a clay bar will remove that. So I spray iron remover on. I use the Visco clay in this particular video, but you take your clay mitt, run it over the surface using iron remover as like the clay lubrication. Go over it. When you start to feel it go smooth, then you're good. Then I'll rinse it off, hit it with the drying towel one more time, do one more round of iron remover, but I don't need the clay mitt on that second iron remover step. Now it's really focused on removing the iron contamination that's embedded into the clear coat. Then rinse it off. If you want to do a third time, just for good measure, if you spray it a third time and not a lot of purple is activated, then you're good. And then once I do that, I'll just dry it off quickly, and then I'll move to another section. I pretty much work in a section as far as I can reach, about this far, not super wide, but about this far. So rinse that part off, dry it really quick, iron remover, clay mitt, rinse it off, iron remover, let it sit for I don't know, 15, 30 seconds, rinse it off, dry it really fast, and move on to the next section. So that's how I like to do it, especially on cars that like desperately need it. But I think the more consistent you do like your clay maintenance using a clay mitt, do it kind of like every 3 months, your car the paint will feel much more smooth consistently as you're doing it. So I hope that was decent enough explanation. Now with this machine, I'm going to, some of the vents like deeper down there, I don't know if you can see that, Chris, but kind of down in here, there's some dried compound in there. So what I'm actually going to do is, our swab kit comes with a bunch of different shapes and sizes. So I'm going to grab this one. It's like kind of a Q-tip looking type of one. But this one I think is going to be able to fit down in there. So I'll take this. I'm going to switch this to stream and give it a spray on both sides like that. So just saturated enough with waterless wash. And now I can take this and push it down here. Oh yeah, you can definitely see how much. And actually when I did that, there was some loose compound that kind of like got mixed up in there. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my mini air cannon. I'm just going to blow that. Oops. Continue with this. It doesn't have to be like crazy perfect, but listen, we're also detailers, so this is kind of in our DNA, is to get it looking almost perfect. And then I'll take my towel really quick and just wipe. So that is much better. Can you see that? Versus what you're gonna notice is like in here, right? So that's a lot better for me. Much more presentable, definitely feels more clean. So I'll take same thing, give it a quick waterless wash, and now we're just going into sorry.
No worries. Dan noted in the comments that with the clay bar, strip wash could also degrade it over time.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely can, but it's not, like those things are they're synthetic clay, so they're like pretty resilient. I don't know if that's the right word, but like or durable, I guess. But it's more, I think with the clay mitt or even the clay bars, it's less about like the chemical it's being used with and more about the amount of times it's being used. That's when you start to see the clay degrade. And like if you have a clay bar, um, you know, if you have been using it quite a bit, like you're a detailer and you clay cars consistently, and you go to stretch it and fold it, which is like what you do when it gets contaminated, or when you're pulling off a lot of bonding contamination, you stretch it and fold it to incorporate that bonding contamination, and you keep going. If you go to stretch it and it like breaks apart immediately, you need a new clay bar. It means it has too much of that bonding contamination in there. So that's more of the time when you'd want to do that. But I will say this, I have, and this you're gonna just start to learn that I'm not always the brightest person, but I did one time try to clay tree sap by using our Adams TAR or Adams tar as a clay lubrication, and the clay bar melted in my hand because of the solvent being like an adhesive remover broke down the clay material that I was using. So definitely don't use TAR or Adams tar in the aerosol can as your clay lubrication. It will degrade your clay. I mean, it essentially deteriorates it, it melts it. So that would be like the one thing I would say.
Chester Thomas says, I've heard that using 50-50 of waterless wash and glass cleaner to finish interior windows. What are your thoughts?
Oh, yeah, I mean, I think that's fine. So Chester essentially said he's heard like mixing waterless wash and glass cleaner 50-50 to do interior windows. Listen, I think I have never done that, and maybe I'll try it, but I'll be honest with you, like I don't really even use glass cleaner ever. When I'm doing a detailing job, when I want the glass to look perfect on the inside, I do the brilliant glaze treatment. It just for some reason works the best, and it's safe on tint. But generally, probably the number one product I'm using the most for interior glass is either detail spray, because my problem is that after I wash the car and everything is perfect on the exterior, I can see the nastiness on the interior. And when I go to wipe down my door jambs, I end up just cleaning the glass before I do that. So I just use detail spray to clean the glass. And that's just, I think it's because it's like a part of my process of how I do it. But if it's streaky or if there's fingerprints, if there's even like food residue, Brilliant Glaze is like the product that works best for me when it comes to making glass like just absolutely flawless. But if the waterless wash and glass cleaner mixture works great for you, do not stop doing that. If it works, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. That's like definitely something I would say, you know. But you know, if you're really looking to give it that like final look where it's like perfect and nice and even, Brilliant Glaze is one of the best products for that.
Chester did say I use Brilliant Glaze on them now.
Oh, nice. So. Yeah, it's weird. Glass is always like such a weird topic. You know, I think it's something that people, I feel like, I'm not going to say like struggle with, but I think have issues with streaking and things like that. You know, I mean, you hear people talking about, oh, well, I just use glass cleaner and a newspaper, you know, or just use IPA or whatever. I think the thing with IPA is that because it's alcohol, it dries really fast. So if there's anything added to the IPA mixture, it makes it streaky. You know, our glass cleaner has a little bit of alcohol in it, just because it kind of gives it that squeaky clean finish. But I also know like our glass cleaner, I think, has a little bit of protection agent in it too, so that can become streaky when you're using it. So Brilliant Glaze, just for me, the food grade solvent inside of Brilliant Glaze is like a great cleaning agent as you're running it over the surface, but also has a little bit of abrasive in there of like silt. If you don't know what silt is, it's like the finest grain of sand ever. So there's some of that in there. And then there's also like a little bit of wax content in it. And the wax content, I think for me, the reason why I like that is because the wax content will put sort of this layer on your glass. So, and actually this just happened to me. It's so funny I'm talking about it. The little layer of glass will, wow, this is like really dirty. But the little layer of wax on your glass puts this film on it. So like if you get fingerprints on there or like something that goes on there, you can now just take like, ideally you want to take like a plush towel, like a double soft or a single soft, and now you can just wipe it off because the stuff's sitting on that film of wax. And the reason why I said this just happened to me is because I had treated the inside of my windshield with the brilliant glaze process. I've talked about it many times on the live, but also outside of the live. And I had that crazy fogginess from the VOCs in my car off gassing onto my windshield. And usually when that happens, if I take a towel and I wipe it, if it feels kind of sticky or doesn't want to move, then I know I need to do the brilliant glaze treatment. But in this case, I just took the towel and I wiped it. It went nice and smooth. It took off that haziness and I was like ready to go. But every time you do it with that wax film on there, it's going to reduce the layer. So after a few times, then you have to do the brilliant glaze treatment. So, you know, again, I talk about this a lot, but like I sort of have this internal clock based on things that are happening in my life. So like my car, 2008 4Runner, it's gone too long before I've gotten a oil change. I'm at like 6,500 miles. I like to do it every 5,000 miles, especially with an old car. And so I actually scheduled my oil change for Friday this week. And so what I'm going to do on Thursday is I'm for sure going to clean my engine. I'm going to clean my interior. And I want it to be presentable for when I take it there so the engine looks perfect, but also my interior is perfect as well, because I want those workers to not get into a crazy dirty car. So I'm going to clean my all-weather floor mats, my interior. I will do the brilliant glaze treatment. Every time I get my oil changed, I do that before I take it there, because they might touch the glass or this and that. I can just wipe it down when I get it back. But I'm going to do all those things, and that's kind of my internal clock and my process of those are the times I do those jobs before, and every time I get my oil change, I do it. That's just like how it works. And I know that for sure, they're going to be leaning on my car. They're going to be doing this and that. When I get it back on Friday, probably either on the weekend or next week on Monday, I will then wash my car and do a maintenance clay. So it's like almost every 3 months is about the time I get an oil change. I just do my maintenance clay, I do my windshield treatment, and I do a deep cleaning of my interior, and I clean my engine bay. Just like, it's kind of my non-negotiable. I make sure I do that every time that oil change process is about to happen, for multiple reasons. It's just, it gets me in the groove of knowing when I need to do those processes, but also makes it presentable for, I can't tell you how many times, I think it's every time I go get my oil change, I get the car back and they're like, how do you get your engine that clean? They're like, and I know, I think for me, like there's an implication that if I take care of it like that, they are going to take care of it like that. If it's dirty and jacked up, they could care less, right? So I want to make sure they get a clean car, clean engine, and all that stuff. So
Joseph says, did you send out that bucket from the giveaway for the last live? Do you need my address?
No, Justin, I got all your stuff. I sent it over to Tyler, and I think he put the order in online, so you should be seeing that pretty soon. The one Hector, I did have to get that shirt. I need to sign it, and then I'm going to send that out. So Hector's kind of like the one that I have the shirt with me. I just have to sign it today. So what I'm doing is I just reached down in my little secret stash. I wish I had the graphene version of this, but I grabbed VRT. The reason why is I'm actually going to, I don't need a lot. I'm actually going to dress this.
Hunter says, I'm Hunter and I just ordered a mystery box. Love the price. Let's see what I get.
Oh, Hunter, I'm excited for you, man. I always tell people this. One of the best ways to find your new favorite product is by getting a mystery box, because you know there might be a product in there you otherwise would never use, and you get it, and then you're like, whoa, what is this? What is Rinse Aid? Or what is this? What's Total Interior Cleaner? You know, I think it's just one of the most unique ways to either try a product you've never used, or obviously like get great value out of it. So yeah, I'm excited. That's mystery box is one of the cooler things that we put together here. So I do personally, like, sometimes I'll even ceramic coat them because it makes it look nice, but I usually will always take VRT and throw a little layer of VRT on there. I mean, other than some stains, it looks pretty much almost new again. You can see it's like with the VRT on there, it makes it kind of glow, you know? So now what I'll do is this screw that I've been let sitting, I will take, and I need to clean this off really quick. Okay. I'll take the same swab. I like cleaning the inside of this because it makes taking the screw off a lot easier if I need to replace a backing plate or do maintenance again. So we'll take this. And again, like, I want it to be as close to perfect as possible. I'm not gonna metal polish the screw, you know, but I want it really
not quite that crazy.
No, I mean, I think the purpose of this is I want this to be, I mean, it was not easy the last time I just did this, and even get it out of the
easy to unscrew.
Yeah, I don't want it to be a pain. I'm even gonna take,
Anton says this is where the tear off towels come in handy.
yeah, just want to try to get as much of this dead compound out of here, just kind of like that. Let's see, waterless wash. I'm just gonna try to blast some of this out of here. So I like to angle this and blast it this way. You can even turn it to stream if you want. Do that kind of a thing. Take your towel. Now I don't don't try to dry the actual hook and loop, because it's gonna stick, but I'll just take it and clean the backing plate really quick. I'll even try to get a little bit inside of here the best I can.
T182 says, what products should I keep from freezing in my garage?
What products should you keep from freezing in your garage?
Ideally,
Ideally all of them, but you know, I think the thing for me is like, if it's in your garage, generally like in your garage, it's gonna still be pretty cold, but it's not gonna be as cold as if it was exposed outside completely. So, you know, what you can do as well, I've done this before, is take, you know, I would say like the ceramic, like the things you use the most, obviously you don't want to freeze, but you can even like take a cooler, because you're not going to be using it. It's not summer anymore. And you can put your products inside of there and like even put it inside your house. But you can leave it in your garage and hopefully it doesn't freeze over. But I tend to take a lot of my products, I'll put them in either crates or boxes, and then I'll just move them into, like, I have a walk-in closet in my basement. I'll just put everything in there, so it's as long as it's inside. But you know, you don't really want any of the products to freeze. I would say that what ends up happening, I've had detail spray freeze on me and almost turns red. It more alters the dye in it than it does the actual formula, and I still used it even though it looked funky. Just shake it thoroughly, but really what's freezing in there is the H2O content, the water in there. And then it can be funky with some of the dyes, but as long as, like, if it does freeze and then it thaws out and you use it and it works as you've used it before, you're fine. It just might look a different color. That'd be like, yeah, like shake it as much as you possibly can. Okay, so now put this back on. I mean, it's not perfect, but I'm okay with it. It's like a little bit more clean. Now on these, it has these notches, which lines up with this. So I generally will always put this towards the middle screw here, and then I know that this is kind of here. And we try to set this on, and then...
T182 gave you a thumbs up.
Oh, thanks, T182. So get this started. See, this is much easier to work with now.
Not going up the threads.
No. Switch to the better leverage and just crank that down. All right.
And how tight do you want it to be?
Hand tight. You don't need to like overdo it, but don't make it so it's loose. So like it's just, you know, I'm trying to, you don't want to ruin the threads, but you also don't want to leave it too loose. So I'll just do it like hand tight. So there you go. That's the first one that is nice and clean. So we have like 20 minutes left. Okay. Still got a little bit of stuff. But I do want to just show you like really quick. I'll just do it with this machine because the vents were dirty. I don't necessarily need this one anymore. But if you were going to replace the backing plate, it's just as simple as order a new one. Oh, and you know what? I screwed up because I didn't put the washer on. Amateur move. Jeez.
That's it. You're fired.
That's fine. Go work at the golf course. I can't believe Scotty Scheffler won again. And he just won PGA Tour Player of the Year. I mean, the guy is an absolute machine.
Comment if you also watch.
Yeah, gosh. I didn't watch golf this year, or I didn't watch all of. No, I'm saying the Hero World Challenge is what it's called. That's like a tournament that Tiger hosts in the Bahamas. It's only 20 players, so there's no cut. But on Saturday, after they finished their third round, Scotty Scheffler was losing by one stroke. He was minus 15. Justin Thomas was minus 16. And he goes on to Sunday. He shoots a 63, which is insane already. And he wins by 6 strokes. It was just, and I think JT shot a 71 or 72, which is awful for like being in the lead. But yeah, it's super impressive. Just Scotty Scheffler is amazing. So I think
Ken Wilson says, what are some reasons why you would need to replace the backing plate? Like, how do you know you need a new one?
You know, the thing about backing plates, actually, this one is not correct. So I need to talk to Colton about that. So don't order this right now, okay? So the reason why, we might have just got a bad shipment, but you need this piece. And this piece might actually come off, to be honest. I'm just not sure. I think it might. I kind of need a screwdriver, which I don't have. But anyways, you need this piece to be able to secure on there. But why should you replace your backing plate? Well, the reason why I would replace it is your backing plate gets a lot of, there's a lot of heat coming through it. There we go. Yeah. So when you do this, get this off. There we go.
Dan says, yeah, it should come apart, Joe.
I knew it did. It just didn't seem. There we go. So take that piece off. This is going to come with the machine. And then there's slots in here on the new backing plate that these go into. So it's kind of like that. Just like that. Okay. The reason why I would like replace my backing plate is this probably gets the most heat contact out of everything, because a lot of heat comes through your machine and out this portion right here. Some of it comes out of here, but most of it's coming here. And you know, what I would say is this portion can, I'm not saying warp a lot, but it takes a lot of abuse, you know. And I think also for me, like, this part gets really stained, the foam. It's really hard to clean. And so I just like having a nice fresh backing plate. I like having it to where if it does get used a lot, if it warps like a little bit, it can throw the machine off of balance a little bit. So it's just something that I like to do. And it's such a low cost thing, to a low cost, but with like a lot of value added to it. So
Did you say like the hook and loops just wear out?
yeah, the hook and loop can wear out as well. You know, so having like a nice new hook and loop is going to be very beneficial. That just keeps your pad secure on there better. But don't forget the washer like I did last time.
Can you show it to the camera one more time?
It's like this. It kind of locks it in. Set this on here.
And again, polisher always off.
Yeah, definitely don't want this plugged in. There we go. All right. Now, this looks like a new polisher compared to, right? So like this just feels better to me. I dressed it so it's more rich in color. The backing plate's new. This is like a good, like again, for like winter time when I'm not doing as much polishing, having my machine look like this when I start the season again is like very reassuring to me. It's just kind of like it's almost like having a fresh start again. But keeping my stuff nice and clean and perfect is very important to both like my presentation as a detailer, but also like what my detailing brand would stand for. So, you know, just
it makes you feel better to have your workspace and your tools nice and clean.
yeah, but I think also like your clients see it and they know you take care of your stuff, you know. But I mean, for me, it's like, for a low cost option of a backing plate and like some cleaning products, you can pretty much make your tools look brand new again just by doing that. So I hope that was added like a little bit of value for you guys. I mean, I think it's pretty straightforward, but I just wanted really like the aspects of this I want you to understand is like getting dead compound out of the vents, blowing it out with an air cannon or a air compressor, cleaning the inside reservoir behind the backing plate, replacing the backing plate if you need to, like if your hook and loop's a little worn out or it just doesn't look good. Some of those things I think you can really, you know, this feels like I just pulled it out of the box, it just feels great to me. So this is ready to go for my detailing season or whenever the next car comes in. So so that is that for machine, for cleaning on machines. So next, I'll just show you quickly cleaning polishing pads. So, you know, polishing pads come in different materials. So you have wool pad here, microfiber pad, foam pads of different types of foam. And cleaning them as much as possible is very important. Like the more that you clean your pads, the more that they're going to perform for you. When they get gunked up with, like this one's especially, like, I mean, it's like, feel that, Chris, it's like crusty and
yeah,
right. So and especially like one of my buddies, Greg Rasmussen, he started a detailing business that he mainly works on resto mod cars. So he's working on a lot of classic cars that some of them have like original paint, so you'll get dead paint inside of these, which to me looks like this one kind of has that. It's like blue all over the thing, right? So your secret to this is using towel and pad revitalizer. Now what I like to do is we have this bucket full halfway of hot water. And with that, I'm going to pour in some towel and pad revitalizer like that. Mix that around. And what I like to do first is I like to soak my pads. So and just so you know, like I actually, when I do like my polishing process, I will have a bucket of hot water, like get it piping hot, almost to where you can't touch it. And I'll put my towel and pad revitalizer in there, call it like 3 to 4 ounces, roughly. And after I'm done polishing and my pad is really gunked up, like something like this, I will just take it off and I will set it inside of there. The longer they soak, the better. It breaks it down even that much more. So normally when I'm doing this process, these have been sitting in here for at least a day. I also do the same thing with extremely dirty towels. So dirty towels, I will soak them in towel and pad revitalizer, and I actually like to have a bucket on my, now that we have them, my new towel organization cart, detailing towel organizer, because what I like to do is I'll soak my really dirty towels, and after they've been soaking for a day or two, I can take them out and wring them out as best as I can, and then put them in the wash. And they, you know, I think one thing, they'll be more clean, but secondly, the fibers tend to stand back up because, and just so you know, like the reason why I like to use towel and pad revitalizer is the cleaning agent in it is designed to break down polish, compound, detail spray, like things that are used in car care, like chemicals that are used in car care. That stuff is designed to break that down. Silicones, things like that. So letting it soak and get incorporated with towel and pad revitalizer is extremely important. So I like to just grab them, but what I'll show you next is how I like to have I'll just keep the same towel that I was using, keep it right here next to me.
Does the same process work for microfiber applicators, like what you've used?
Yeah, microfiber applicators. You know, I would say like microfiber applicator, you can see there's a couple sitting over there. One that looks like it has glass polish on it that's sitting on the workbench. And I think the other one has probably the ceramic glass coating on top. But like, yeah, just hand me that one underneath, Chris. Because I imagine somebody, this one I'll just throw in here too. Same thing. Yeah, applicators, I would say like ceramic applicators, not worth it, because especially like the small ones, when you're using the 60 ml bottles of coating, those are going to crystallize. You can't really clean that off. Those you throw out and you get more. But I would say probably with like a applicator for like spray coating, you could clean those. Those ones don't really get too crusty unless you like use them over and over and over again. I would clean those ones. Mainly the small, either the like more premium ceramic applicators or the small suede applicators for ceramic coating. Throw those out and just get new ones.
Yeah,
but they're not.
Yeah, use those on Sunday, so that's where these.
Yeah, there you go.
That's where these applicators are from.
So, what I like to do now, well, obviously, like having this bucket's amazing. I'm not going to sell you on the bucket because I think it's pretty self-explanatory. But the secret here to this whole process is this guy right here. Okay, this is the pad conditioning brush. You can see it's like kind of dirty, but this is the thing you use to fluff up your microfiber. That sounds funny. Microfiber fibers, or the wool fibers, or to brush out any dead paint or compound that's in your foam pads. So this is something you use in the process of polishing to keep your pads being effective. And so what I like to do is I'll just keep this on the tray. I have my grate up here close to me. And I will grab like this first microfiber pad. And I will take, actually, I'm not even sure if this is even ready. There we go. There we go. Take the towel and powder vitalizer. I spray this thoroughly into here. So now I'm like at full strength versus soaking it, right? Just take my fingers, but mainly what I'm doing is I'm gonna take the pad conditioning brush and I'm gonna brush this. And then what I like to do is I'll just dunk this in here, squeeze it to get more of it out, and then I'll keep brushing it. And if your pads are really super dirty, what you can do is after you dunk it again, set that down. Take your towel and powder vitalizer. Take your brush, brush this through again. So I was kind of going like this way. I'll turn the pad so I brush the fibers another way. Turn it a little bit, maybe like a quarter turn, brush it, quarter turn, brush it, and then dunk it. Squeeze it out. And then wring this out.
Oh, it looks so much better.
And then you can set them here, but that's why I kind of like having this. I'll set it up here. And I would say I don't have it with me right now, but I will oftentimes have like a rinse bucket as well. So I'll have two. So this is like your soak bucket and the part you do all your cleaning. You'll have another bucket on this side that you can take, like after I'm done cleaning this, I'll take it into the clean water bucket, put it in, wring it out, and then set it up here. And then when this clean bucket gets even like more dirty, dump it out and get more clean water. But this is like more than enough for me as of right now, because I don't have a ton of pads in here. When it gets like crazy dirty, that's when you want to have a separate.
And if you're using the premium buckets, you can link the two buckets together.
Yeah, exactly. So more on the foam pad. Spray this in here. Brush. Oops, sorry, Chris. Just a little bit more. And
sorry for the camera, guys. The gimbal just suspended.
And the one thing too is like your pads might get like stained in color. Like I know we have, you can still get it in the Pro line, but we have a product called Correcting Polish. It's like an orange polish that was a part of our old 3-step polishing system. That made pads orange, straight up and down, and you couldn't, you know, there's no way to get the orange dye out of it. But as long as the compound and the dried stuff is out of it, you're fine. If this was orange, but you can see, really what you can see is that the pores of the foam are back. Like if I angle it, it looks almost like crystallized. That's like you can see the pores of the actual foam pad. That's what you want to see. If there's some color in here, it's okay. But having the pores of the foam back to looking good and the fibers of like microfibers standing back up like this, that's what you want. And essentially what's going to happen, this is going to dry and be fine. Once this dries, I'll just, when I put it back onto my polishing pad, like after let's say I come back tomorrow and this is air dry. Before I start compounding with microfiber, I'll put this on and I'll take my pad conditioning brush and I'll just run it to make the fibers stand back up perfect again. But that's when it's dry, not when it's wet like that.
Can't single stage paint also stain?
Yeah, single stage paint will stain your pads as well. Like this is a good example. I don't know if this is single stage paint or not, but we're about to see. I think it is. But this white pad, which you use with the white polish, is nice and blue right now. So spray the, and I would say like with the foam too, like I didn't do this on the last one, but massaging it with your thumbs is a really good technique as well. Because with foam being more porous, you want to work the cleaner like into it and then it comes back out, you know. So I'll do that, and then I'll take my brush, just try to brush anything out of it. Dunk it, squeeze it a couple times so you get some of the cleaner on the inside. And you can do this ringing technique, you can absolutely do, because the foam is gonna come back to normal, you know. So I mean, that looks a little bit better, but I think there's still some left inside of there. Do you guys have any questions whatsoever on cleaning pads? Any machine maintenance type of stuff? I mean, I think.
Sorry. There's a question about basically 2-bucket wash method.
Oh yeah.
So he's saying, what do you think about foaming the dirty car, then waiting, and then rinsing off the foam it again, and hand wash it, but then only using 1 bucket instead of 2 buckets on the hand wash? Like, can doing a pre-soak with foam eliminate the need for 2-bucket wash?
Yeah, I mean, I think you know, I think there's some detailing philosophies out there. I'm pretty in tune with like the industry. I've seen that people say you should never immediately start rinsing a car off that's dirty. You should always foam it first because it creates lubrication and it lifts dirt away. I think that's fine. I also partially believe that it's like they want you to use more foam. You know, I mean, I don't think it's like really necessary. I don't think that blasting your car off with a pressure washer is gonna scratch the car. Your scratches come from touching the car. So, you know, I think if it's like an extremely dirty car, it's okay, especially like if you're gonna be using strip wash, to foam it first. That's gonna really like break down a lot of the stuff that's on there, and then rinsing it off, and then like re-foaming it.
But then still doing 2 buckets, or?
Yeah, I mean, I'll just say this. The 2-bucket wash method is designed to reduce scratching while you're washing. The less amount of dirt that's in 1 bucket, you want to be pulling a clean wash pad with suds in it out of the soapy bucket. You know, and not to say that like with the grit guards or like the grates, the dirt's going to fall to the bottom and not come to the top. I mean, that's why there's these things underneath. Is this prevents the water at the bottom from swirling, so the dirt doesn't come up to the top of the bucket. So, but I think it just depends on how dirty the car is. But I would say, like, listen, if your car is scratched already, there's a ton of swirl marks in it, you haven't taken care of it for a long time, and like you're not quite to that point of polishing it, do a 1-bucket wash. If you are going to detail a car that has a ton of swirl marks, 1-bucket wash it, because it doesn't matter if you get any scratches in it. If you have gone through your whole detail, you have polished it, you've ceramic coated it, I would do a 2-bucket wash for as long as possible because it reduces the chance of scratching more than anything else. And so, I think for me, I do believe that like a pressure washer is the best tool because it gets more dirt off with less effort, right? And then foaming the car gives you this layer of lubrication. I mean, I've seen people here try to foam the car down with mega foam and then rinse it off and be like, it's done. And I'm like, it's not even close. It's not, the thing about it is it's not a lot of like, not necessarily just dirt and grime on your car. It's not that simple. There's more things to it. There's road film. there's, like I talk about this a lot, like, everyone's exhaust that's driving for the most part is either pointed straight out this way or it's pointed down at the ground. So you just have exhaust residue pounding the pavement all the time. Then it rains or it snows. You also have brake dust from people's cars all over the roads, dirt, grime. There's just all kinds of stuff. It rains or it snows. Now that stuff gets presented onto your car, and it's not like you're just rinsing dirt off. You're also rinsing road film off and things like that. So, yeah, maybe you could get some of the loose dirt and grime off by foaming it first, but you're not going to get everything off. So, I think a 1 bucket wash is okay, but I think it presents more opportunity to scratch your car. So I think it just depends on, I think sometimes for people, and I'm not saying this is for Justin, right? Chester. I'm not saying this is how you think about it, Chester, but I think sometimes like people are like, 2 bucket wash is overkill and it just takes too long. I think if you make it a part of your routine consistently, that is what it is, right? Like it's just, that's your standard and that's what you do with it.
It doesn't really take that much longer.
It doesn't take all that much longer, but it's more of like getting it out, filling the bucket up, doing all the stuff. But, I think for me, I like to prep everything first before I jump into it. So it kind of like my processes happen seamlessly, but there's nothing wrong with doing a 1 bucket wash. I'm not saying that like a 2 bucket wash is like the Bible. That's like the only thing you can go by. That's not what I'm saying. All I'm saying is that there is more chance for scratching. So like if you're trying to reduce that, a 2 bucket wash is a better option. If you feel like the, foaming the car down first, rinsing it off, foaming it again, and then doing a 1 bucket wash is working for you, don't change it. Like I said, if it's not broke, don't fix it. But I think, you have to also understand my background is, before I started at Adams Polishes in 2012, like I took my car through the drive-through car wash with the brushes once a year. And that was like after winter was over. I was not the clean my car guy. I wasn't. And then I came to Adams Polishes and I was contracted by Adam to film a instructional video series that went on a DVD that he put in new orders. And one day I was at his place in Louisville, and I was in an office. I was editing the wheel and tire cleaning chapter that's on the DVD. And I needed a break. It was like 3 o'clock in the afternoon. And I had edited a bunch of other videos already. This was I was getting towards the end of my edits. I needed a break. So I was like, I'm going to actually try this process. I've never done anything like this. I went down to the little wash bay that was in Louisville. I cleaned 1 wheel and tire only. That was with all-purpose cleaner as my tire cleaner. And that was with, at that time, it was called Deep Wheel Cleaner. It was like a pink product, which is essentially, it's been updated, but essentially the same formula as our current wheel cleaner. The stuff that turns purple. And let me tell you, my wheels turned way purple because the car had not pretty much ever been washed. I cleaned 1 wheel and tire and the fender. And I was like, I looked at the wheel on the back. This is on the passenger side. I looked at the wheel in the front and I was like, this is insane. Like it looks brand new. So then I did the rest of the wheels and then I was like, well, if I did that, I can't not wash the car. So then I washed the car. I did the 2 bucket wash method, all this stuff. The car looked amazing, but then obviously I felt it and it felt bumpy. And Adam always says, if your car feels bumpy, feels like sandpaper, you need to clay it. At that time, clay mitts didn't exist. It was just a small little blue clay bar. Maybe at that time it was yellow. And so I went through and I clayed the whole car. And then it was like, oh, I kept going like this. Like after I was done, I couldn't resist from touching my car because it felt so amazing. And then of course, Adam says, if you clay your car, you have like naked clear coat now, so you need to protect it. So then I pulled it inside. And at that time, the best protection agent that Adams Polishes offered was called paint sealant. And you either applied it by machine or you applied it by hand with the gray microfiber. At that time, they were blue microfiber applicators, like big blue ones. So I did it by hand and I was exhausted and done for. It was like almost 9 o'clock at night. And my wife's calling me like, where are you? Like, what are you doing? And I'm like, trust me, just wait. And I went home. The next morning we wake up, my wife comes outside and she comes in and she's like, did you get a new car? And I'm like, nope, I did the whole Adams Polisher thing. And she was like, wow, that's like incredible. And like from that moment on, it was like, yes, I do occasionally, maybe 1% of the time, do a 1 bucket wash. That's when the car is so jacked up that there's nothing that I can do to help it. And it doesn't matter if it gets a little bit more scratch because it's already so bad. But I do a 2 bucket wash pretty much every time. I don't do it when I'm at the pay and spray, right? It's just not, it's not worth it. I can't really do it there anyways. But I think it became a part of my routine so often that that seems normal to me. Doing a 1 bucket wash to me does not seem right. It feels off to me now. So, but for Chester, if it's the opposite, where like the 2 bucket wash just seems like overkill and the 1 bucket is.
You said he usually does 2 buckets.
Yeah, but okay, I'm going to fill you in on a little secret. There are no wrong answers in detailing other than like turning your polisher over and like hitting the car or like, doing careless things. But you can...
They can remove scratches with keys, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I wouldn't try that. Chris said you can remove scratches with keys. Yeah, don't try that. But, I mean, here's the thing. I don't use glass cleaner on my glass. It doesn't mean I'm wrong. It just means that I have other products I use to do that, So rules are meant to be broken. And I was actually talking to one of the customer service people, and like he said, you should do a live video on like breaking down the whole Adams Polishes line. And I was like, well, there's some fundamental aspects to car care and like detailing. Chris, move this way. There you go. There's some fundamental aspects to car care and like detailing, but there are products that you can inject into that to either make your process more efficient or more effective. So, there's not like this, you absolutely have to do this. I think there are some core aspects to it, but for the most part, detailing is very much an individualized thing. Like, Dan is on the live answering questions as Adams Polishes in the comment section. He details different than I detail, right? And like Dan teaches the Shine Academy class they just held here in Denver, which is like advanced type of detailing type stuff, sanding, polishing, ceramic coating, and that's more directed towards professional detailers, but it's also a resource for people that are trying to get better at detailing in more advanced level. And he teaches it, and he's teaching really like the fundamentals, but it's kind of like up to the person to expand on that and get better with it, So, so I think like just taking it in that way of, it's okay to try different things. If it works for you and it works on your car, do it. Don't worry about if somebody else says you have to do this. I think that's like an unhealthy way to think about it. Find the thing that you love and the thing that makes your car look the best and stick to it. That's kind of my thing. And if a new product interests you because it can make your process more efficient or more fun or more easy, then try it. And like, I can't remember who said it, but like a mystery box is a great type of product that we offer, that you can get a product that maybe you've never used. And then I've heard so many stories of like, I got a mystery box and like I got leather conditioner in it. I've never done that to my car, and I did it. It's my favorite product now. And it's like, really? Well, I love that product too. But it's like they never would have done that process unless they got it in the mystery box. So detailing is meant to be enjoyable. It's not meant to be a chore and something you don't enjoy. It's meant, it fulfills your pride. It raises your standard. It makes you a better human being. And if you're doing it yourself, it's even that much more fulfilling. And that's what I love about it. So there you go. I'll get off my mountaintop now. But yeah, anyways, I'm going to keep cleaning these, but I hope today was helpful. I mean, I think it's a pretty basic topic. But again, I think, like, to reiterate, I like to do this I like to do the machine maintenance, every 6 months or so, once in the summer, once in the winter, a little bit more in depth in the winter. Cleaning my polishing pads. I do this after every polishing job because I want to have fresh pads every single time. And then, you know, when it comes to like we were talking about it earlier, like the claying, cleaning your engine, claying your car, deep clean of your interior. I do that essentially every 3 months or every time I get an oil change. So, you know, I think there was some stuff we talked about in there that was hopefully is beneficial, but, you know, if anything, I'm just glad to hang out with you guys on a Wednesday. You know, I have a lot of work that I have to do, and this is kind of my little break from all of that. So we have some pretty exciting stuff coming up. So I'm pumped. Next week, we may not have the live. I'm not sure yet. I might even like push it to a different day, but Chris and I and Matthew are traveling to Detroit because we're doing a collaborative video. Chris, move over. We're doing a collaborative video series with Chevrolet Performance. So they're gonna have their Chevrolet Performance cars there, and we're gonna do some, some educational videos on cleaning certain aspects of those cars, and they'll feature it on their social media and YouTube, and we'll feature it on our social media and YouTube. So I think we'll be traveling during that time. So if anything, we can push the live to Thursday when we are shooting the video series, and you guys can see like the setup and what we're doing. So look out for that. Might push it to Thursday just for fun. So so yeah, thank you guys for watching. Hope today was helpful, and as always, thanks for hanging out with me on the Wednesday, and I'll see you guys next week.